Important Concepts of Managerial Organizational Behavior.
By Mason Etcheverry, Joffrey Thread, and Young Douglas.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Orange.
Orange who?
Orange, you glad you took Managerial Organizational Behavior?
Managerial what?
MOB. Did you not take that class?
No, I haven't taken that class.
Oh wow, you're gonna wish you would've once you get in the workplace.
Why's that?
Well, let me teach you. Good thing I got a presentation ready right here. This is a little overview of what I got going. These are 6 main topics that I thought were most important in this class. And that includes leadership, diversity, emotions and moods, motivation concepts, communication, and last but not least, conflict and negotiations.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Of course it is.
So, are effective leaders born or are they made?
Well, that's a great question to ask, but let's leave that till later.
Alright then, how do we select a leader?
Well, first of all, you're going to want a leader with knowledge, skills, and abilities needed to do the job efficiently and effectively. Also, you're going to want a leader with traits such as extroversion, conscientiousness, and openness to experience.
So how do you train a leader to have all these skills and traits?
Another great question you got there. Well, you got to teach them implementation skills, situational analysis skills, evaluating situations, and modifying them to better fit their style.
Well, what are some good qualities of very effective leaders?
Well, as you can see here, we have sharp perception, responsiveness to their team's needs, understanding the organization, self-assessment, all of these of which are great qualities.
Well, do you think someone such as Donald Trump, as I see you have on the screen here, has all these traits and skills that an effective leader should have?
All I have to say about that is China.
That works for me. What's next?
Well, then we move on to levels of diversity.
So what are the levels of diversity? I know there's 2 different ones, right?
Wow, you're pretty much ready to take the final for this class. That is correct. We have surface and deep level diversity.
So tell me more about surface level diversity.
Surface level diversity is kind of self-explanatory. It deals with the surface of a person, such as the age, the race, the gender, and ethnicity, something you can see as someone without talking or interacting with them.
Okay, so what is deep level?
Deep level diversity is more in depth, and you got to be able to know someone very well to know this kind of diversity. It's differences in values, personality beliefs, and work preferences. Also, deep level starts by identifying surface level differences.
So we're all like icebergs pretty much, right?
You know what? That's exactly right.
Wow, that's amazing.
I know. Then we move on to applications of emotions and moods.
Wow, so what are some of the emotions and moods?
Well, we have motivation, creativity, and deviant workplace behaviors. To go in a little more in depth about that, motivation is pretty important as being a person in the workplace. You got to motivate your employees, you got to be positive, and you got to give positive feedback and gain positive feedback.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm really motivated to learn more about this.
Oh, you got me there. Creativity is very important too, because without innovation, you're just the same as any old company. And a deviant workplace behavior involves trace to negative emotions. Employees are examples with negative emotions, and they're more likely to engage in short-term deviant behavior.
Boy, that was a roller coaster of emotions, man.
You got me there again.
I seem to get you every time, huh?
Oh yeah. Then we have goal-setting theory.
Oh, well, I'm really familiar with that. Isn't it something studied by Edward Locke and Dr. Gray Latham in the 1960s?
I feel like you're lying to me. Have you spoken with Dr. Drape about this class before?
I may have. It's on my schedule for next semester.
You got that right. So let's talk a little bit about it. Obviously, goals play a large role in the workplace because at a company, you always have goals that you want to achieve. So, talking a little bit about that, it's a theory that sets specific and difficult goals with feedback lead to higher performance. Also, you got to be motivated to achieve your goals. And 90% of the time, specific and challenging goals lead to high performance.
So it's always best to set goals and make sure you achieve them.
Of course.
Wait, so nothing can stop you from achieving your goals, right?
False. Goalies.
Oh, good one.
Hockey. Go Kings. Next slide, we got barriers to effective communication.
So what are some barriers what is a barrier actually?
A barrier is something getting in your way to communicate.
Okay, so what are they?
Well, we got filtering, which is pretty self-explanatory. If you got a filter, it's hard to get through. A sender's manipulation of information so that it will be seen more favorable by the receiver is pretty much a definition of this kind of filter. It's not like a filter for your Keurig.
Okay, well, is it possible for me to have too much information at any point in time?
Oh yes, very possible. That is a condition in which information inflow exceeds an individual's processing capacity, and that's no good.
Well, what if I'm angry or even the opposite, really happy? Does that affect anything?
Of course, emotions play a large role in communication. Positive moods make individuals feel stronger about their opinions. Let's go on to the next slide.
Sounds good.
Negotiations. Not only do you have to negotiate in politics, but in the workplace, negotiations play a very, very large role.
So, are there any strategies so I can win certain negotiations?
Of course there are. We have bargaining strategies. Distributive bargaining and integrative bargaining are two examples of this. When you distributive bargaining, you win or you lose the situation. But integrative is more of a win-win situation for both parties.
That's always good. So is there a specific process to negotiate?
Yes, there's 5 specific processes. We have preparation and planning, definition of ground rules, clarification and justification, bargaining and problem solving, and lastly, closure and implementation.
Are there any differences to have better effectiveness in negotiation?
Yeah, I got a couple differences for you here. Personality traits, moods and emotions, culture, and gender. Well, that's all I got for you. Did you learn anything?
I learned a lot, but I do have a few questions. So, are effective leaders born or are they made? And also, you mentioned diversity. What are some of the laws that are put in place to regulate it in the workplace? And also, how can you stay motivated to achieve your goals? And finally, we mentioned moods and emotions, but what are the differences between them?
Well, you know what? Those are all fantastic questions, but I'm going to leave them for our Professor Drake to evaluate and teach in his next class next semester for you.
Awesome.
Well, I'm glad I could help you, and hopefully you take some of this information into the next semester and you get an A.
I sure will.
Well, it was good meeting you, sir.